What's up? What's up? What's good? You're rocking with the best thoughts of the week. Let's go. What's good? What's good, everybody? Thoughts of the week. I want to thank you for coming in. No doubt. What's going on? All right, what's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? This is Thoughts of the Week. And I want to thank you guys for coming in. I want to thank you guys for coming in and checking out the show. Today's show is brought to you by How To University. All right, make sure y'all go to howtouniversity.thinkific.com. All right, howtouniversity.thinkific.com. And make sure you get your online learning on, okay? And there we go, How To University. This show is brought to you by How To University. The online learning. And we have several courses here. And by the way, there are some courses to come. All right. And just before, here's your online course, right? You want to take your online courses online. You go to howtouniversity.thinkific.com. All right. howtouniversity.thinkific.com. And in case you guys just want to, if you don't want to be online and take your courses online, you can always go and download your courses. And you can download your courses at How To University or PayHip/How To University. All right. And here's the website here for How To University. And again, we have some courses available. This course is coming soon, how to make money flipping products. And there is another course that will be coming pretty soon, probably late August, maybe early September. And that's how to podcast, how to start your own podcast real easy. All right. So those courses are coming up pretty soon. The courses they have available right now, as you guys can see, is the ebook Authors Essentials, how to write your books in multiple languages, and goal setting. All right. Excuse me. So those are the courses that are available right now. And like I said, again, we have some courses coming up soon. And you see one of them on your screen there, how to make money flipping products. That's coming soon. And we have a podcast course coming. Probably it'll be ready or done for you to take probably the end of August, maybe early or mid-September, somewhere along those lines. All right. In case you guys want to learn how to start your own podcast like you hear me and see me doing right now. All right. So with that being said, also one more thing before we get started. if you guys are entrepreneurs or you guys are running small businesses and you want to be able to have some advertisement of your business on this show, start thinking about it and start considering having your business or whatever you're doing, your entrepreneur pursuits, mentioned at the beginning of the show, because as you see on the screen, let me make sure here. As you guys see on the screen here, let me just change it up for real quick. Put this out. Real quick. All right. Like I said, if you guys have businesses you run, or you have you're doing your entrepreneurial pursuits and you want to get the word out about your business, whatever you do, and you want to consider having your business advertised on this show, I want you to take a look at the screen right now. All right. And these are all the platforms that my show is on. All right. So it's on Instagram, or let's go to the left from right. It's on Black Social. If you guys are not familiar with Black Social, check out the app. Black Social. I'm on Radio Public. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter, Anchor, Castbox, Daily Motion, LinkedIn, Pocket Cast, YouTube, Facebook, Periscope, Overcast, Apple Podcasts, which I think they also put on iTunes, I think, or maybe it's on iTunes right now. And maybe it'll probably be going over to Apple Podcasts, or maybe they're putting it on both. I don't know. But you got Apple Podcasts and you got Google Play Music, which I think is going to be the chain. I think Google Play Music is going to stay, but I think they're going to have a Google Podcast. So it'll probably will be going over to Google Podcasts. All right. Or they might be putting it on both Google Play Music and Google Podcast. All right. So, and there's one more that that's brand new that my show is going to be broadcast on, also Breaker. All right. So if you want to advertise your business or whatever you do as an entrepreneur, if you sell services or products and you want to get the word out, it's going to be heard on all these platforms about your business, whatever it is. All right. So just think about that. And maybe the next show I do, I give people some opportunities to be able to have their businesses mentioned on this show. All right. And by the way, before I also get into the topic of the week, I want to shout out to all the people in Black Social. I have about 17 subscribers on my Thoughts of the Week channel on Black Social. So I want to shout out to y'all. I appreciate it. Y'all was coming in real fast. As soon as I started putting my post different things on there, videos and a podcast show, a lot of people started subscribing to that channel, Thoughts of the Week. So I want to thank you guys from Black Social, to thank you guys in Black Social for subscribing to the channel. So right now, what I want all of you to do is, those who are listening to me live, even if you're going to listen to the replay later, I want you to share this particular broadcast, this podcast, this post, share it to your page, share it to your people, and let everybody know about the show. All right. And once again, like I said, this show has been brought to you by How To University. You can go to howtouniversity.thinkific.com and start learning about anything from A to Z. All right. The site has just started, so we have about three courses or so. There's going to be 2 more added, and throughout the year, there's going to be more added and more added. So the next course that's going to come up, it's going to be available, is going to be how to start a podcast real easy. So in case you guys want to know how to do that, you can do it. You can take the course. Or if you just want to, if you don't want to go online and sign in and enroll, and you just want to download the course to your tablet, your laptop, your computer, and sometimes your cell phone, if you have enough space on your phone, you can download it to your phone and just look at the course, take the course whenever you're ready to do it. All right. So if you just want to download it, go to payhip.com/how-to-university. That's PAYHIP.com/how-to-university. All right. If that's in case you want to download the courses instead of signing up online and taking it, going in, signing in every time you're ready to take the next course. All right. So with that being said, let me put a little bit of music in the background and we're going to get started here. All right. All right. So the topic of today is, were we and are we still programmed? All right. It's just something that came to mind. I was thinking about when I was listening to checking out some other YouTube channels and listening to different topics. And it was also things that would come to mind in off and on throughout the years. All right. Just off and on throughout the years. And I remember there was a time when maybe several years ago, maybe 5 to 10. And I just got to thinking back to my childhood, and the things that came to mind was knowing what I know now, or the information that I know now. I was wondering, or I was thinking to myself, just the fact that how much I didn't realize was going on and how much programming was going on. And it was kind of amazing to me. It didn't blow me away, but it just made me think like, wow, all these things were being planned or have been planned over the years. And certain things that when I was a kid, then I end up doing with my own children. And it just seems like the cycle just keeps going and going, not just with me, with people across the United States. And it just made me wonder, it's like, wow, that's kind of makes you wonder that we just kind of following things and just doing things without really, really considering, or at least knowing what you're doing, even if you're still going to do it. All right. You guys bear with me for a second here. All right. So, like I said, I was just wondering to myself, like, man, the things we get ourselves involved in, or we get our children involved in as we become adults, and we just follow things like cattle, just following along with the shepherd, the owner of the animals, just makes them go do. And so I started writing some stuff down of things that we seem to have been programmed to just go on and follow year after year after year. Sometimes, for the most part, mindsets, we still follow the same thinking patterns, we do the same things and just do it without no question. So I'm gonna get to the first one. All right. So the first one on my list, and it's no in particular order, it's just what came to mind. I went on and wrote it down. All right. So one of the things that came to mind, and I did a few other shows in regards to that, but what came to mind was the Pledge of Allegiance. All right. The Pledge of Allegiance. They make you they make you say the Pledge of Allegiance in school every year, right? And I wonder why parents, and maybe they have, and maybe it's just a thing where they thought about it but didn't say nothing else about it, you know? It might be. And let me stop the music real quick. So I was thinking the Pledge of Allegiance. So the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, and so on and so on and so on. But has anybody ever thought about, anybody ever considered the words in the Pledge of Allegiance? And even in school, when they make you say all that stuff, I don't even remember one time to where, I don't recall one time that a teacher or a principal even broke down the words to the Pledge of Allegiance. Not one time do I even remember it being broken down. And part of that Pledge of Allegiance in particular that was thinking about, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic. That part, to the republic. Who are the republic that they mentioning in this Pledge of Allegiance? I don't recall any time anybody in school when I was young, when my kids were young, even going to, every now and then having to go through the schools and talk to teachers. I don't recall one time any principal or teacher ever breaking that down about who the republic is in regards to that Pledge of Allegiance. But yet we are programmed to do that just about everywhere we go. Not to say that we have to do it or people do it, but you have sporting events. Of course, you have the schools. Other type of events, graduation. Sometimes they do. Well, I think they do that all the time. And I wonder for what's the purpose behind that? To make everybody, to get them so ingrained, get this so ingrained in their mind starting from a child, and then this stuff all the way up into your old age. And the fact that what is it doing for you as a person? What does it do for you as a group, a race, by saying that pledge? Pledging to who? Are you really pledging allegiance? And why? I mean, so many questions. Why are you pledging allegiance to a flag? You can look at it in two different or several ways. You just pledging allegiance to a piece of material. Some people might look at it that way. Why are you pledging allegiance to a piece of material, a flag made out of cotton and whatever else, right? People can look at it that way. Some people get offended when you ask that question, but yet the ones who get offended can't break down any history and any honest, factual history about what that flag is really about, how it got started, what's the real truth behind that flag, and what's the real truth behind even teaching everyone from a child on up to even learn that pledge. All right. I'm not going to get into that too deep unless anybody wants to comment on it. That's cool. But let's go on to the Star Spangled Banner. All right. Let's go on to the Star Spangled Banner. That's another thing that gets played in schools and football games, baseball games, basketball. Somebody sings the song at boxing events. But yet, what doesn't really get mentioned is the fact that there was a verse in the song that I think was taken out at some point but it's still part of the original song. And then the song in general talks about Black people, and there's a particular verse in there that, like I said, I think it's been removed, and they might have changed it a little bit, that refers to Black people and pretty much, speaking in current terms, dissing Black people. But yet everybody's comfortable with that song being played, being heard. It's nothing to them. It doesn't bother them. But yet the thinking behind it, the people behind the thinking of creating the song, or the person, I think the person who created was also a slave owner, if I'm not mistaken. And so we are programmed to a big degree, or probably the kids more than the parents, than some parents. Some parents still go on with and singing the song and putting their hand on their heart and all that. So we're programmed for that, right? And so that's another thing we're programmed to do. Now, there are a lot of different holidays that they say were originally created in Europe that they brought over here to the US, and we pretty much followed the European holidays that was brought over. If some of them originated from Europe, it might have originated from other countries. But everything's been brought over here, and we kind of follow programs, things. And one of those, well, not one of those, but another, aside from that, another holiday, let's talk about holidays a little bit. We just came past, we just went through the 4th of July, right? We just went through the 4th of July. And my understanding, I guess that's supposed to be the Independence Day, but what was that, 1776? I think there were still slaves during that time. But yet, a lot of people still celebrate something that was disrespectful to certain groups of people. We still follow it, right? And matter of fact, there was something I wanted to do in regards to that. Let me see if I can pull that up. That kind of brought on something else. Let's see here. In regards to 4th of July, anyway. Now, I'm going to go over here. Something I had pulled up real quick about how much we spend. See, that can be another topic within itself. That can be another show. So I was looking up how much gets spent during the 4th of July, and probably mainly on fireworks. Let me make sure that's good. Okay, we good on that. And it says Americans spend $1 billion on July 4th fireworks annually. $1 billion, according to Fortune.com. All right. So I'm going to pull this up real quick and just see what we got. But $1 billion on fireworks. Firework facts. Americans incinerate $1 billion in July 4th fireworks every year. Just imagine if just taking half of that billion, what would it be, 500 million? And putting it on something that's beneficial and worthwhile, that'll actually do something for us. Because the 4th of July, it's not really New Year. You might get your day off of work, right? You might get a day off of work. Some people celebrate it for the certain situations that came about during slavery. And they try to say it's independence from Europe or something to that effect. right? But we're really wasting a lot of money. Where it can go to a better use, put it that way. All right. So it says the 4th of July is a day of festivities, a time to spend with loved ones, barbecue in the backyard, and blow stuff up. The last part makes Independence Day an incredibly expensive holiday that costs consumers billions in fireworks and self-inflicted injuries. Right? James Johnson, what's up? Thanks for coming in. So I don't see anywhere in here where they really break down the real origins behind what the 4th of July was really about. They try to gloss it over. Let me see here. But that's amazing. $1 billion spent on fireworks. It says, in an ironic economic twist, a whopping 99% of consumer fireworks are imported from China. But yet we're supposed to have this big beef with China. But apparently it must not be too much of a beef because we're still taking imports from them in regards to fireworks, right? Undeterred by their origin, Americans spend more than $1 billion on fireworks each year to the American Pyrotechnics Association. By weight, that makes for roughly 8 million pounds of fireworks, or roughly a pound of pyrotechnics for every American man, woman, and child. All right. Imagine that. Imagine that. But these are the things that we get programmed to do every year. We're programmed. It's like in us. And it was put in our parents, and our parents put it in us. And then we put it in our kids, and then our kids, and it seems like a never-ending cycle. We're just going to go on from year after year after year without ever challenging, without ever thinking about what these holidays are really about. And we're so programmed that even if we find out it's about something that we don't stand for, we'll still do it anyway. Right? So 4th of July. Now, another holiday we get programmed into doing every year is Christmas. Right? We get pulled into the Christmas thing. And no matter how much facts and stuff you give to people, it's so embedded in our minds and ingrained in our minds to follow these holidays. And I'm going to try to look up the same thing for Christmas as far as how much money gets spent. And it says the average American will spend about $700 on holiday gifts and goodies this year, totaling more than $465 billion. Now, for fireworks for 4th of July was $1 billion. So now when it comes to Christmas, it's $465 billion. $465 billion. It seems like every year. And some people will spend their last dime when they should be paid on rent or should be paying on something that's needed. They will take that and buy a gift for their child. It's like, think about the psychology of that stuff. But again, that's something we've been programmed to do. Just programmed. That's crazy. Another thing in regards to Christmas is the Santa Claus thing. Knowing how much a lie that Santa Claus thing is still getting taught to children. So at an early age, we still teaching lies to kids. What's going on, Esco J? For some reason, if you guys are commenting on Periscope, it's not really pulling up. So forgive me if I don't respond to you. For some reason, it's just not popping up. And I don't know what goes on with Periscope sometimes, but nevertheless, I appreciate you guys coming in on Periscope, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. I thank every one of you guys for coming in. Black Social also. I know you're checking me out on Black Social. You're checking me out live now as well. All right, but let's go back to the Christmas thing. Now, I just gave you the numbers with the 4th of July, the Christmas money spent. Now let's talk about the lies in regards to Christmas. You got the Santa Claus thing. And when kids get older, I guess they get told eventually from their parents, or they kind of figure it out on their own if they don't get told, because they'll hear it from other friends, and other friends will put them in on the lies. But ain't it crazy that you got to tell kids lies about this stuff instead of the truth from the very beginning? And like I said, I don't understand. It's like we programmed to put these stuff into play. We're programmed into it. Right? It's crazy. We are programmed into this stuff, and it's ridiculous. All right. So let's move on to Easter. I'm going to put in see what the Easter numbers are as far as money spent. And there's so much to say about Easter, the sense of where Easter, how they came from, where the name came from. Some people say Esther. There's some variations of the word Esther. Americans will spend the most this Easter. Americans will spend a record $18.4 billion on Easter this year. The National Retail Federation in the annual Easter forecast said that number is 6% larger than the 17.3 billion in 2016. So I guess they're going by 2017 figures, right? So far, you got 4th of July, Christmas, and Easter holidays. We spend well in the billions of dollars. And then it's funny how you get people asking people to donate some money to a cause that's very, very worthwhile, or even to a show. If people are supplying you with information or talking about topics that really stimulate your mind or give you information or something that's valuable, and they'll say, hey, donate. You can even donate $1 to such and such, such and such. And people won't even do that, but you'll spend collectively $16 billion, $1 billion, $18 billion, $465 billion. And that's cool. But if I were to say, hey, donate to if you like the show, donate to my PayPal, and then I give you the PayPal, and I tell you, it doesn't matter how much you donate, 5 cents, 50 cents, $1, $5, $10, $20 and up. People won't do that, but yet they enjoy the information you're giving them, or they enjoying the conversation at least. But now they can't put in 50 cents. They can't put in $1. Or if you got a cause where you're going to work on something that brings people money, and like which comes to mind is the Tulsa real estate fund. People won't put money into that, and they'll swear up and down they don't have the money, right? They'll swear up and down they don't have the dollars. But when you start looking up the figures on these holidays, and it's up in the billions, you wonder how all these people got billions of dollars to spend collectively. It's crazy. But again, we are programmed for Easter and don't really understand or have the history of where it came from, right? So let's talk about Valentine's Day, and let's see what the figures are for Valentine's Day. And see how much money gets spent. 2018, consumers will spend near record 19.6 billion on Valentine's Day. U.S. consumers are expected to spend an average $143 on Valentine's Day, as 55% of the population celebrates this year, an increase from last year's $136.57. So I guess the predictions for this year was 19.6 billion. So every holiday I've talked about so far is in the billions. We spend billions of dollars on these holidays. Do y'all even know where these holidays came from? What these holidays are about? Are they disrespecting people? Right? Are they disrespecting people with these holidays, or certain groups of people being degraded because of these holidays? But yet we spending billions of dollars. We programmed and trained to throw in the money for these holidays, right? So every holiday I mentioned so far, we spend in the billions every year, right? In the billions of dollars. Once again, you ladies and gentlemen on Periscope, there's a message that pops up on my screen every now and then about scrolling down the old comments, but I can't seem to scroll down if you guys are sending comments. So just forgive me if I don't respond to them. It's not that I'm ignoring you. It's just that whatever Periscope is doing, it's doing as usual, right? But again, I thank you guys for coming to the show live. All right, so let's move on, man. Let's talk about Groundhog's Day. Groundhog Day. And there was a thing that when is Groundhog Day anyway? And what are the rules? Groundhog Day. Oh. All right, let's look down here at how does Groundhog Day work? Because this is something very interesting with Groundhog Day. It is the day that the groundhog comes out of his hole after a long winter's sleep to look for his shadow, right? If he sees his shadow, this is how the rules go. If the groundhog sees his shadow, he regards it as an omen of 6 more weeks of bad weather and returns to his hole. Now, I want to do something in regards to that 6 weeks. Let me see if I can find the calendar here. So when is Groundhog's Day? Let me see here. I think it's in February. What year did let's look at this right here real quick. All right. What year did they start Groundhog Day? And it gives you a little history about groundhog. Let me see. What is so important about Groundhog Day? All right, I already read you. I'm gonna go over this again about how does Groundhog Day work, because I'm gonna bring something up real quick and show you, because it was brought to me when I was listening to a show, and I don't think too many people have been aware of it. That's why it's important to think and really examine what you get told, what you get programmed to do, like pledging allegiance and singing the Star Spangled Banner and not realizing the Star Spangled Banner was written by a slave owner, things like that. But we keep following this stuff. So again, it says Groundhog Day. This is how Groundhog Day works. It is the day that the groundhog comes out of his hole after a long winter's sleep to look for his shadow. If he sees his shadow, he regards it as an omen. For number one, how does the groundhog know what an omen is or what? That's where you got to study things when you read it. examine each line for line. But anyway, let's roll with this. If he regards it as an omen, he regards it as an omen in 6 more weeks. Keep this in mind, ladies and gentlemen, 6 more weeks of bad weather and returns to his hole if he sees a shadow. All right. So keep that in mind. Keep the 6 more weeks thing in mind. All right. Let me see what's going on Facebook real quick before I go on. All right. So keep the 6 more weeks thing in mind. All right. Y'all bear with me for a second. I'm just checking something out. Okay. As long as everything is going like I want it. All right. Now, like I said, keep this 6 weeks thing in mind. Okay. So let's go down a little bit. What is so important about Groundhog Day? All right. It derives from the Pennsylvania Dutch superstition. See that? What is so important about Groundhog Day? It derives from the Pennsylvania Dutch superstition that if a groundhog emerging from its burrow on this day sees a shadow due to clear weather, it will retreat to its den and winter will persist for 6 more weeks. Now, keep this in mind now. Winter will persist for 6 more weeks, okay? Keep this in mind because I'm about to show you something. If I can pull a calendar up, I'm going to show you something. The games that get played, right? As Dick Gregory would say, the games they play. All right. So let's move down to some more info about this Groundhog Day. What is the story of the groundhog? The groundhog, considered by them to be their ancestral grandfather, whoever them is, when German settlers arrived in the 1700s, Europeans, they brought a tradition known as Candlemas Day, which has an early origin in the pagan celebration of Imbolc, whatever that is. It came at the midpoint between the winter solstice and the spring equinox. So Groundhog Day, as we know it, is in the winter time, right? And like I told you, keep that 6 weeks of winter rule in mind, right? Keep that in mind. What does it mean when someone says Groundhog Day? All right. Groundhog Day, a noun, February 2nd, when, according to tradition, the groundhog emerges from hibernation. If it sees a shadow, it returns to its burrow for 6 weeks, as a sunny day indicates late spring, while a cloudy day would mean an early spring. All right. Let me just pull up a calendar because I'm not going to go on and read. Let me see. There might be one more thing I might read. Let me see here. Okay, well, February 2nd. I believe that's every year is February 2nd, right? All right. Let's pull up a calendar real quick. Let's pull up the 2018 calendar, see if we can pull it up. All right, let's check this out real quick here. See if we can get a nice, lovely size calendar here. If not, I'm going to try something else right quick. Let's see what we can pull up here, and let's see if it's big enough to the screen and easy to see. All right. Hopefully you guys can see this, and this is enough. And play things back, but let's see if we can make it work. All right. Now, 6 weeks is roughly 6 weeks. Well, let's do this. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna count from February the 2nd and 7 days, and just each 7 days. I'm gonna see 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks. All right. All right. So hopefully you guys can see this on the screen. All right. So you got February. So the third is gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Did I say 5 weeks? And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. I mean 6. So they say if the groundhog sees his shadow on February the 2nd, it normally means it'll be 6 more weeks of winter or bad weather. Well, when you start counting from February the 2nd and counting 6 weeks, spring starts roughly on the 21st, between the 21st, and 22nd. Well, when you count from February the 2nd weeks, that runs you anyway. That runs you into the spring anyway. So in 6 weeks from the 2nd, the weather starts to the seasons change to spring anyway. So what happens is you got tricked. It's all a trick. It's a game. You guys understand? Just do it. Get you a calendar for this year. Go to February the 2nd. That's Groundhog Day. And let's just imagine that on that day, let's say the groundhog seen his shadow. And so and they say when it sees the shadow, it's 6 weeks. It's 6 more weeks of winter, right? We exit out of that. So when they sees a shadow, they saying, well, it'll be 6 more weeks of winter. And they teach this stuff and they tell this stuff in school. What's going on, RJ? Thanks for coming in, man. So check this out. It's been a trick from the get-go. They teach you about Groundhog's Day. They tell you on February the 2nd, if the groundhog sees his shadow, it goes back in for the wintertime. Hey, Kiani, what's up? So I'm about to show you again. I'm not going to count it again, but I want you guys to do it. And you can watch the replay later. But check it out. This is the game they play. They tell you that Groundhog's Day on the 2nd, if the groundhog sees his shadow, right? If the groundhog sees his shadow on the 2nd, then that means it's 6 more weeks of winter. 6 more weeks of winter or bad weather, right? But here's where the game gets played, and here's how we all got tricked. They teach this stuff in school sometimes, right? But when you count 6, and they say it's 6 more weeks of bad weather or winter, but when you count 6 more weeks from that February 2nd, guess what? It actually is 6 more weeks of winter anyway, give or take a few days, and then spring starts. So the whole groundhog thing was a trick. It was a game. So I want you guys to get your calendars. You can do it now or do it later and count. The game is Groundhog's Day. I'm repeating it again. Groundhog's Day is on the 2nd. And they say that when the groundhog sees his shadow, then it's going to be 6 more weeks of winter / bad weather. But when you count it, let's say we never had let's say Groundhog's Day don't exist. But when you count from February the 2nd and count 6 weeks from then, it's actually just 6 weeks left of winter anyway, because give or take a few days, spring starts. So Groundhog's Day was, and I'm trying to figure out what was the real purpose of them promoting this Groundhog's Day, because it's 6 weeks anyway, regardless of a groundhog seeing its shadow or not. It's already 6 weeks of winter anyway before spring starts. So it was a trick. It's a joke. So you guys, you do your own research and get your calendar for this year and count 6 weeks from February the 2nd. And it's going to be give or take 2 or 3 days, and spring starts anyway. So 6 weeks anyway is going to be winter anyway, regardless if you see a shadow or not. It's still going to be winter time until that 6 weeks is up, then spring starts. So we got taught nonsense. We got taught a trick. So I'm going to just go ahead and move on and talk about, y'all just think about that. You do your research on that. All right. So I'm going to move on and talk about how we are programmed to just work, to labor for dollars and not really create passive income. So we've been programmed as kids to just, and I'm going to talk about something that kind of ties into it. We pretty much just trained to go to school and learn all this stuff, and learning these things is cool. I'm not saying don't learn nothing, but the school system was really made so you can be trained up to work for somebody else and take all the knowledge that you got to make somebody else rich. And we all got caught up in that game, in that trick, in that bag, myself included. Until other information started coming out and people started saying, what? You can start your own business. You can create your own passive income. And then, of course, with the internet and the different sites you can sell your stuff online and the different things, technology, period, it's making it even easier to start your own thing. And quite frankly, I think that's kind of where things are moving to, because you got a lot of these store closings, and that can be for another reason. That's another show in itself. I can go off on a different topic on that. But we've been programmed to go to school, and then this is the comments you hear all the time. Yeah, you go to school and graduate college so you can get a good job. We all got put in that program trick to believe that. And granted, there's some people that, not everybody, I would say this, not everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. Not everybody wants to start a business. It's more comfortable for them to just get a check and a stable check. And that's another direction I can go on in itself in regards to relationships when it comes to that. But that's another show. But I'm talking, this show is about being programmed, and if we are still programmed, to follow all these things we've been trained up to do. And then just thinking about it, has it been beneficial to follow all these things, to being programmed to do these things? Has it benefited? Has it really been a beneficial thing? Right? But like I said, now we have, just working for dollars, using our energy and our time. All this time we got to take up to make money, and the dollars don't match the time and energy you use, right? So that's something in itself to think about. But yet when you study the real rich folks, they don't live by those rules. Yeah, sure, they might put their kids through school and college and stuff like that, but it's for a different purpose than what we were taught to go to school and college for. Right? So that's another program thing that we were taught to just go to school, right? Get a good job, right? Work all your years and get up to a certain age, and then you can retire. But no enjoyment, just work yourself to the bone. You got to ask for when to be off, when to take off. Where you got other people that they start their entrepreneurial pursuits. They can make their time work when the time they want to work. Make more money from using their minds as opposed to their body. And there's nothing wrong with going to a job. I'm just saying it's the thinking of it all and the programming that's been passed down for so many years and how far behind we are compared to others. Right? So that was another one we're trained or programmed to do, is laboring for dollars and not creating passive income, or not even being taught that you can do that even when you're working. You can still make a supplemental income on the side where it takes you to put in some work in the front end, and then the back end, you reap the benefits of it. All right. So the next one is train to work for others. Again, that's part of that laboring for dollars. Go to school, get the knowledge to help others build their companies. Right. Instead of being in competition and build your own stuff and be in competition against the company you're in competition with. All right. Another thing we're trained is the two-party system, the Democrats and the Republicans. We can never seem for I don't know how many years can get out of that trick bag of just two-party system. And you got other countries, they got 3, 4, 5, 6 different parties running for the top position. And we're just taught to just do two parties. And if you try to do a third one, like an independent, they find ways to try to shut it down or minimize it and try to get them out the door. And we program to like kind of be against any more than two parties. We're not even thinking that, hey, let's start 3 and 4 other parties and let's all these other parties run against the Democrats and Republicans. Let's start this party and that party. There are other parties out there that get named, but I think it's just all for like smoke screens because it never seems to get anywhere. And we've been taught from young age to be on a two-party voting system, right? So that's another one. Let me see. You got billionaires and millionaires who, and this kind of ties into the earlier programming. You got millionaires who haven't even graduated high school, but they are millionaires. And you got some millionaires and billionaires that graduated supposedly from college and high school, but the numbers are so low when you compare to other things. So you got some that started college, millionaires and billionaires just didn't finish. And they go on to be millionaires and billionaires, didn't finish college. You got some that's in high school. They might have graduated high school and that's it, became billionaire after that, millionaires after that. So not to say that school is bad or anything, but it's just some things to look at and consider. Don't let nobody tell you that you can't make it if you don't go to school, although it's some importance of going to school, right? Ladies and gentlemen, on Instagram, I got 20 seconds to go, so they're going to be shutting down Instagram. I thank you guys for coming in. If you want to still continue to see me live, go to Norwood Media Vision on YouTube, and you can continue seeing the show. 10 more seconds, and Instagram is gone. I want to thank y'all for coming in. Peace on Instagram, all right? Thank y'all. All right, so we're going to continue on Periscope. YouTube and Facebook. I think Instagram gives you about an hour, and that's it. So let's see here. Let me hit that share button on Instagram. And so let's continue on. All right. So like I said, you got some millionaires and billionaires that haven't finished college or high school, and some haven't even finished high school and went on to become millionaires and billionaires, right? And then, of course, they got the college game. Like I mentioned earlier, where you go to school, you get a good job, and you always hear this by the older folks. Go to school and graduate high school and go to college so you can get a good job. And that's something to be proud of. Get a good job. And it's cool. I mean, like I said, I'm not going against having a job. I have a job. I've worked many jobs. It's just that the mindset, man, is like we don't think. And we don't think out the box. There's so many other options that we can do outside of that model and that format of just going to school, graduating, get a job. I graduated from high school. I did a year in college before I just started working, because at my time and age it was important to start getting some money coming in. So I ended up eventually just doing 1 year in college. But then I started reading books, and what I found is that there are other sources of where you can get information from, and school is just not the only source. College is not the only source. You can get it from books, you get it from video, you can get it from hanging around with other people who are millionaires. You can just follow them around and get knowledge that way. So it's so many outside of the box things other outside of the college, go to school and college model. All right. And it's kind of funny because it seems like the ones who go to college and graduate from high school and do, whether they do a little college or they complete college, it seems like those are the ones who are really blinded as far as being thinkers. It's more or less they're programmed. They're programmers. They're being programmed. And it seems like they shun and they kind of look down or go against somebody who has an out of the box type of thinking and use their head and likes to try different things and experiment with stuff. But then that's how scientists do. But for some reason that's shunned when you want to have that type of thinking. And it's funny, it's weird, and it's funny at the same time. Right? So, of course, like I said, the college game. There was one more thing I was thinking about before the show started, and I can't think of it right now offhand. But there was a couple other things that came to mind that we were programmed. There's so many other things we're programmed about. We're programmed about our buying habits, what's more important. Some races of groups of people are different from others in regards to how we spend money. We'll buy kids the most expensive clothes and the most expensive phones and computers, and take all that and don't pay your rent. It kind of goes back to the Christmas thing where people scrounge up their last bottom dollar to make sure their kid get all this stuff, but their kids is not doing well in school or they messing up in the streets, but they keep on trying to appease them and buy them all this stuff. But yet you could take some of that money and invest it and end up increasing your money to where now you can afford to buy the expensive shoes. You could take that money and go to and take a class about learning about real estate tax liens, right? You could put it into an investment vehicle, invest it, let that money grow. You can put it in the stock market or teach you and your child. You can learn about the stock market, put it in there and get dividends and take the dividends from that and buy the shoes from the dividends, yet your money still grows. But why is it that we don't do that? even though some of us know that that's a possible thing that's outside of the normal model, that's outside of the box of the normal model that we get programmed to believe to do that. We only have to do, that's the only way you're going to be successful. Go to school, graduate, go to college, and get a good job. Work for somebody, make them a millionaire, and you might get less than a quarter or a percent of their millions. Right? Well, we taught that and we follow it. And like I said, the spending thing, people go to them stores and buy $200 shoes, $200 Nikes, and what it costs to make them is like $12. Why not go to where it's made for $12? The real Nikes, you can go to wherever they make them and buy it for $12 instead of going to the retail store and getting it for $200, because that's all they charge is about $8 to $12 for those expensive Nikes. And there was something I was looking at. They was talking about the shoes, and it was something else that gets made that is made so cheap, but yet we spend so much for it. I forgot what the other thing was, but I know the Jordans and some other kind of clothings were made. They cost them so cheap to make it, but then people spend top dollar for it, not realizing, let me go to the factory if it's in Mexico or whatever, take a trip there where they actually make it and buy it from somebody from the factory. Buy about 5 or 6 pairs of those and still spend under $200 for them. And it'll be the real Nikes that you see in the store. It's amazing. It's crazy, man. Well, let me see what else. Like I said, I had some other stuff in mind. I didn't write it down and I couldn't remember it offhand. So I can't think of it right now. So that's going to be it, ladies and gentlemen. It's something for you guys to think about. Maybe it'll help. Not to say that I'm trying to change people's minds and do what I want. Some people get offended. Oh, you're trying to make us do or think like this or something like that, blah, 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 blah. It's just something that came to my mind. And it's for me to look at it myself. And so I'm going to make myself personally, I'm going to make certain changes. I'm going to go in a certain, think in certain directions from before, right? And all I'm saying is you guys just think about those things I was talking about. You know, we get programmed to do so much stuff, but nobody challenges where this stuff came from. How did we get to this place of spending billions of dollars every year? You guys watch the replay back, right? You watch the replay back where I read out the different holidays and how much gets spent pretty much every year. Ridiculous. And if we took a quarter of that money and put it into building our communities, we'd be like a strong nation inside of a nation. But it's crazy, man. So once again, I want to thank you guys for coming in. I want to thank everybody who checked me out live on Instagram, Facebook, Periscope, YouTube, Twitter. Black Social is a link from Black Social to see me live as well. And like I said, let's try to go back here. For all you business people who are considering, or I want you guys to think about it at least. Just think about if you guys want some publicity and more people knowing about your business. Like I said, this show gets played on numerous platforms. And again, it gets played on Black Social, Radio Public, Instagram, Twitter, Anchor, Castbox, Daily Motion, LinkedIn, Pocket Cast, YouTube, Facebook, Periscope, Overcast, Apple Podcast, or iTunes or / iTunes, Google Play Music, and or Google Play Music / Google Podcasts. All these platforms this show is on. And there are a lot of listeners on a lot of these platforms. So if you want me to promote your business on my shows, just think about it. And maybe the next time, my next show, I'm going to go ahead and let y'all know how you can do that. All right. So on behalf of howtouniversity.thinkific.com, my name is Damani Norwood. I'm known in certain circles as the real deal. I'm known in certain circles as D. I'm known in certain circles as Norwood. And you are watching and listening to Thoughts of the Week. All right. I thank you guys for checking the show out, and stay tuned for the next show coming up pretty soon. And once again, I'm out. Be sure to go to howtouniversity.thinkific.com to get your online learning on. All right. Peace.